Nah, get the manager.
Oh, manager.
Are you serious?
That means you're gonna have to send me home. And with you. So how you guys feel about that?
Oh no. Let me double. Go back on the floor.
I'm not gonna lie, Carl. You could send me home like this. Mad slow today.
No, sorry, we can't do that. I need you for a rest and all.
We've had like 3 people in here all day. One of them was the phone.
No, sorry, we can't do that. Good doing about
You'd rather pay me to do my work. Like I was telling you, I would go home.
no, nothing's just like a decision. Don't worry about it. Good.
Okay. Oh, I have to go to the job to see my grandma.
Hello, hello, hello all. We're just waiting for a few more people to head on in here before we start our presentation.
This thing is good. It's really good.
Destiny, are you in charge this evening? I'm a spectator.
No, I'm going to hand it right over to you after we do introductions so you can talk about it. And then
Okay,
whenever you're ready, I'll just take back over.
sounds good.
You're free to start whenever you're ready.
Well, I can't advance the screen though, so I think you'll have to do that. I
That's
don't
fine.
have control. Okay, so advance. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm looking at the screen here. I didn't realize I was doing this. I apologize. I've been busy writing a report for the doctoral program. So I've been a bit distracted. My apologies. This evening, with the time we have, what I hope to do is provide a little bit of an overview of the program, talk about our research assistantships, things like that, how we fund doctoral students who are studying here, a bit about the application process, but really what I'd like to do is as I tell my students, a speed date through all of that kind of detail stuff and really open it up for questions. I apologize up front. I notified Destiny and Nell that unfortunately I have a scheduling conflict. So I have to leave the call today at 7. So, but you will have access to my email, and I'm more than happy to, set up any one-to-one meetings to discuss anything in particular with any one of you. At this point, I'm going to dispense with going around and introducing ourselves, if you don't mind. Right now, I see there's 7 of you all online so far. And so maybe as we get to questions, but I see you have your names listed. But Destiny, if you could just kind of go to the next slide.
Okay.
And I guess since I've been in full disclosure mode, I'd have to say the last time I looked at these slides was at the last information session we had back in last January, I think it was. But bottom line is our mission, it really is about cultivating leaders for the future. The vast majority of our students are pursuing a PhD, which is a research degree, because they'd like to find an appointment in some type of academic or what we call faculty appointment, which is what the majority of our students aspire to do when they graduate. But having been working on a 6-year review of the program, it's roughly about 65-70% of all of our graduates over the last 6 years ended up in academic type of appointments, about another 25 to 35%, and I'm just using rough numbers. Got their PhD, and they sought careers in either research or policy think tanks, or they are really some of the leaders in our state offices here in New York State. Some of our alum are actually leaders of executive leaders in agencies in other countries, actually. And it's all about social, economic, and I would add environmental justice, which is part of our broader mission. Next slide, please. Let's see. Why? Just what I was saying. PhD is about a research degree. And I will say, since this is a degree that other schools are offering, we do not offer. It was around way back in the 60s. It's made a resurgence in many universities around the country, which is a DSW. We're offering this is technically a Doctor of Philosophy in Social Welfare, a research degree, PhD. The DSW is the Doctorate in Social Work, which is more of a practice degree. It's not designed to teach all of you how to do research. It's more about focusing on just what I would call the education side of it. Tenure track positions are what most of our graduates do get. And as I said, executive directors. And we've had commissioners in SUNY as well as in other state offices. Next slide, please. Why Albany? Well, we are a public land grant university, which means our tuition is probably a third of what many private universities charge for tuition. Right now, just roughly, doctoral student tuition could run, say, around $13,000, $14,000 for the year. But let's park that aside for right now. But by far and large, U.S. News World reports will say that as far as public universities goes, we are probably one of the more competitive as far as the cost for our tuition. Our location is what spurs a lot of graduates to look at non-academic appointments, particularly with the state being the state capital. We do a lot of work with the state agencies, as that prior slide mentioned. It provides for instant access, and a lot of our doctoral students actually have research appointments within the state agencies. Research is the big thing we do. This past year, 90% of our students received funding through an assistantship, a research assistantship, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But with a research assistantship, for instance, last year the rate was around $19,300 for a full-time PhD student. That is what you earn for putting in 20 hours of work, working with a faculty person doing research. And again, I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a bit. And then I think the last point before we go to the next slide is, because of our faculty, we have affiliations, as I say, not only with local, state, national agencies, but with other universities. We're part of the SUNY family, all of which provides a network that goes well beyond our School of Social Welfare. Next slide. Fast facts, 36 credits. We actually have one of the lowest required credits for a doctoral program. A lot of programs that we just compared ourselves to for this big study that we finished will require 40 to 48 credits. The difference is with our credits, we offer opportunities for students to take electives, and many of our students do go beyond the required 36 course credits. The other reason other programs might look like they require a lot more credits is because they include what we call your dissertation credits as part of your required credits. If Destiny did her job, which I'm sure she did much better than I did, this looks like this is our correct cost for out of state. I don't know if that's correct. I see Destiny nodding. And that's $963 for an out of state student. In state, you could see the difference, $471. I started to talk about this. Most of our students, as I said, over 90% in the last 3 years that I've been the program director, were awarded research assistantships. A research assistantship pays for a minimum of 3 years of your stipend, which, as I said, was around 19,000 plus, as well as for 9 credits, which is what you required each semester to take. So you earn money and you don't have to pay any tuition. There are some minor fees, what they call student fees, but our university over the last couple of years has really cut that down to less than $1,000. And in some cases, it's actually zero. We do admit students to either the full-time PhD program, which, as I say, that would require about 2 consecutive years, 4 semesters of coursework, 3 courses a semester. We offer part-time programs, which we admitted, I think 1 last year and 2 the year before. We also have a joint program, which some of you might be aware of. The joint program, there's 2 different options. The most common option we encounter are students who are in their first year of their MSW program, and they have had faculty in their classes who encourage them to apply to the joint program, which means they would finish, they would be applying by January 31st. If they got accepted, they finished their second year of MSW studies and field placement in the second semester of the second year. They get to take a doctoral level policy or research class. And again, everybody kind of goes about it different, but it's a joint program and you basically go right into MSW to PhD program. There's pros and cons to that, and maybe we'll have a little bit of time I can talk about it. Next slide, Destiny. I don't remember how many slides we have. I forget. It's not all that many, hopefully. So this is the basic program. What you see in front of you on the screen right now is these here are what we call our theory courses, as well as some research courses. Right now, none of the nomenclature means anything to you, but you could see you have these pro seminars, practice and policy, and 2 are related to research. Then there's 2 advanced statistics course. And again, that becomes one that sometimes the joint program students kind of morph into, but there's 2 stats courses. And then there's an additional 3 other courses. One is a qualitative research course. The other is a preparation for scholarly professional writing, which helps you write your essay, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, as well as your dissertation. And we now offer and require every student to take a social work teaching and pedagogy course. That's a course that we now are requiring students to take, and it will eventually, starting next year, not 24, the 24 academic year, students will have what we call, are referring to as a combined research teaching assistantship, where the 20 hours could be spent 10 hours focusing on teaching a class under supervision and 10 hours doing research. This will be a course that people will be taking in their second year of studies, so that in the second year, spring semester, someone could possibly teach after this course in a BSW program or something like that. And then there is another advanced, actually what I call two advanced research courses. One's advanced research and the other's advanced data analyses. And lo and behold, if you add it all up, that's how we get to 36 required credits. Next slide. So when you succeed in completing all those courses, we do not have what's called a qualifying exam. Many programs, like the one I graduated from, after I finished my coursework, 3 afternoons in a row, I was locked in a room with a computer that had no outside access. Day one, I had to write a whole paper on my substantive area of practice, which is gerontology. Day two in the afternoon, I had to write an entire paper on what kind of research would I to do this kind of study, and what kind of methodology. In day three, I'd have to write an entire paper on what would be the impact of my research on social work policy. That's what we call a traditional qualifying exam. We do not do that here any longer. We used to up until 2018. We now have a comprehensive essay. And the reason we do that is the qualifying exam, again, you have to write it on it. Again, we had a computer with no access to any files, nothing. It all had to come from up here. And it ended. You either passed or failed, and you got multiple times to pass it. That really did nothing for the students' building of their career. So we moved to what other schools have, which is a comprehensive essay. And simply put, when you finish your 2 years of coursework, you identify 2 faculty members that share your interest, or you particularly like, or they might like you. And you ask them if they would consider being your essay evaluators, meaning they will eventually read this essay that you're writing. The first thing they're going to ask you to do is say, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you write up a 4 to 6 page summary of what it is you think you want to study. We call that a concept paper. So you write this concept paper, 4 to 6 pages. You submit it to those 2 faculty. They review it. They give you some feedback. You might modify it, improve it, make it a feasible area of research, because that's, after all, that's what you're going to have to do. Once they approve it, you then go off for 15 weeks. You work from home in the library. You do your work independently. You can't reach out to faculty for assistance or anything. And you write what could be anywhere from a 40 to 70 page essay that basically outlines the social work intervention, the social work research, the process, its impact on practice, policy, etc. Very complicated. It sounds, it won't matter or mean much to you right now. But the bottom line is, after 15 weeks, you submit this essay. Those 2 members of the faculty evaluate it, grade it, as long as they rate you having succeeded in passing 80% of the 6 areas that is reviewed in its background and significance, literature, methodology, practice, policy, etc. Once they say you've passed it, you are now officially a doctoral student who is in candidacy and beginning work on your dissertation, which is the bottom half of that slide. You usually will identify 3 faculties. Sometimes it's the same 2 that were your evaluators on the essay, and then you add 1. Minimum for any dissertation is 3 members, 2 from School of Social Welfare and 1 from another department. It could be outside the School of Social Work at the university, or it could be from another university. We have students who, had outside, what they call outside members from a lot of different universities. Next slide, Destiny. Okay, so we offer, as I said, these research opportunities. We offer the support for it it's 20 hours. Those of you who are in the joint program, I should say, while you're still part of the MSW program, you only have to do 10 hours a week. When you're finished with MSW studies, you then go to 20 hours a week. All of our students get an opportunity, especially now with the teaching and pedagogy course, to have a chance to teach, but all my doc students have lectured in my classes. Like I teach a micro 1, which is a MSW course, et cetera. So next slide. Funding, which I've already talked about, the 19,380. I don't know if that's going to be the 2024 stipend. It might go up a little bit. We've just signed a new contract. But I can promise you, if it goes up, it's not going to be much more than 20,000. And as I say, that is divided over 2 semesters, 15 weeks each, where you're working 20 hours, and your tuition is covered. Next slide. Here's just more about the whole, detailed nitty-gritty. You could read this. There's different types of fellowships. I will tell you right now, we don't know what fellowships will be available going forward, but we do know for sure what we call the state-funded research assistantships that I've been referring to all this evening. They will continue. We also support students after what I said before. You get a guaranteed 3 years. If you move into candidacy by your 4th year, as of today, you could get a 4th year of funding. Joint students, again, it's a little bit different. It's spread out a little bit more. Next slide. Housing, I'm really not going to speak to it, although I was driving around campus the other day. There's some really neat looking new housing on the perimeter road of the Uptown campus. But I will tell you, most of my doctoral students, I say my, because I'm still directing the program this year and this spring, they live in housing all around the downtown campus because we are downtown. That's a photo of our building. If those of you might not be familiar with it. The main university is the Uptown campus. That's 3 miles exactly west of that picture you're looking at right now. Next slide. So application process, it's basic, it's straightforward. You will need to submit your transcripts. Even if you're a UAlbany current student, you can submit your version, but ultimately before you get admitted, you will have to submit an official transcript. So again, you could submit copies of your updated transcripts, even from other schools, but you need to get your official transcript if you're going to be officially admitted. You need 3 letters of recommendation. Some people, if that are already in the program, will reach out to faculty members for letters of recommendation. That's okay. It's always nice to know that somebody thinks you're worthy if they know you in class. We like letters of recommendation that know you both academically. Do they think you could succeed in the rigors of a doctoral program? But also personally, professionally are always important, but you need 3 of them. You will need a current version of your CV or your resume that'll be uploaded. And then you'll be asked to write a personal statement. Why you? To give you an idea, typically, like last year, I had 37 applications to the doctoral program. We notified 24 of those that they were eligible, that they could be admitted to the program. That, you know, you're admitted, but you have to register. Of those 24, I think 9 indicated they were going to register. 7 eventually did register. So out of 35 applications, we had a class of 23-24 class of 7 students, and then 1 ended up dropping out. So I think we actually have 6. We typically will admit 7 to 8 or 9 students to the program each year. And we typically get anywhere from 35 to 50 applications every year. And then there's more information online. Yes, nothing gets submitted until you submit the $75 application fee. Next slide. And there's a link to that. I guess Destiny's going to make this available. I don't know if we have any applicants who are not US citizens. We do have an international students office. They're very helpful. They're up at the main campus. Just about everything I spoke to applies to the international students as well. But if you are an international student, you should talk to the office, because many international students find it very challenging to survive just on the stipend they might receive, let alone once you're here, that stipend only covers while you're in school. Many of them need money, they need a job during the summer, etc. So if you're an international student online this evening, I would definitely reach out and get some one-on-one attention. We do not require GREs any longer. We've dropped that requirement, but we do put a lot of value in the letters, your prior academic performance, and the coherence of your personal statement. Who are you? How did you get to this point in time to apply to a doctoral program? And what are you going to do once you get the degree? And the more specific, the better off you are. Next slide. I think we might be at the end almost. Questions, that's the phone number. That's Dr. Hardiman, my colleague. In the background, I think I see Dr. Zerveya, yes, and a couple students. Okay, I'm done. Screen share, I think, or do you have any more slides?
That's all. That's it.
Okay.
So, anybody
cool.
has
All right,
questions?
let's stop this. Can we stop the screen share? This way I can get all right. Okay, let's see. Oh, here we go.
Any questions that come in?
Oh, so we do have somebody on from Nigeria. Ogo, you'll be happy to know 2 of our students in this year's class are from Nigeria. I will tell you, one of them is a mother with 3 children who came over from Nigeria. She's doing amazing in the program. The challenge she's faced with the family is finding employment for her husband. Our other student from Nigeria is a single man, and we just had a social party, a social get-together last Tuesday evening last week, and we are now trying to find Emmanuel a wife here in the U.S. But welcome, welcome. Okay. Any questions? Please, we're a small group. Just unmute yourself. I see you, Stephanie.
Hi, yeah, I have a question. I was considering doing the combined MSW PhD program. And I wanted to know if that program does align with the licensure for the LCSW, and if not, could I take the classes that are necessary, like in addition, so that I could get the LCSW also?
Okay, great question. I'll start with the last part. Yes, you can always take extra classes to eventually sit for the LCSW. What you will find though, if you're looking to eventually get a job in academia, you must have 3 years or 2 years. They used to be 3 years. I think they reduced to 2 years post MSW work experience to teach practice classes in a school of social work. Now,
Okay.
some of our graduates, this applies to some who do not have the MSW, did not have it. They get teaching positions sometimes in non-MSW programs, teaching research and policy. But the problem with going straight through, and students do it all the time, is it's hard to get that practice experience and go full-time at the program. People do it. It's just it's a lot of work, but it's definitely doable.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid of
you're
the
welcome.
work. I think we'll make it work. But I know I want to do executive leadership in a nonprofit, and I work with people with disabilities. And so the LCSW is just necessary in the OPWDD world and nonprofits and at the state level. And so I just think it's a necessary component for what I want to do. So I
Sure.
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi,
Tay.
my name's Taylor Tay. I just had a quick question. So I just
Sure.
picked up my MSW at BU over the summer. And I went the more macro route. So I'm wondering if you think this program might be appropriate for me, given what you had just shared with Stephanie about maybe not being able to get teaching positions during the program.
No, absolutely. Macro is a whole side. We have a couple faculty, former Dean Warner does a lot of work in macro, a former director of the doctoral program, Nancy Claiborne. So a lot of our students do macro, very much more focused in policy,
Yes.
policy analysis. So and there's definitely a need for policy faculty. And so again, macro can teach. And just to be clear, what we're finding, because there is a shortage of MSW 2 years post-practice experience coming out, looking to teach. Many universities will look at work you've done during a program, and they'll write for waivers if they think you'll bring in other skill sets that they would really like to see. So I don't want to scare everyone away, but I do like to be upfront with the fact that people do want to be mindful of that.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Carmen, I'll stay on after
Yeah.
you guys, whoever wants to get off, come on. If anybody wants to hear I am an MSW PhD student for my 4th year or 3rd year, I think. 4th year. So if anybody has any questions for me, Carmen, please let me know. Just in case, I know Carmen has to get off soon, so I'm here for any questions.
Destiny's living proof that you can survive. Antonio, I see you raising your hand.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Nelson. Is it Nelson or is it Dr. Nell?
No, actually, I'm Dr. Morano.
Oh, okay, because it stated Dr. Nell on the invitation.
Nell used to work in admissions in our office. He helped coordinate, put all this together.
Okay,
But
cool.
So question, go
Fantastic.
for it.
So my question is in regards to, I understand you have a flexible scheduling. And so I was wondering about students who maybe work a traditional 9 to 5, but then also want to participate in the program. Is that a possibility? Or do you prefer them to be like 100% full-time, no other work or obligation? Like, what is how stringent are you on
Sure.
because some programs don't allow you to have
Yes.
any outside employment.
So, it's a great question, and it's a more complicated answer. So the easy part of that answer is we regularly, in fact, I just had a meeting 2 days ago with one of our part-time students who is working full-time, actually at a neighboring college. I'll leave nameless for right now, and going part-time through the program. There is no limit for someone who wants to do that. Okay. If someone wants to come to our program full-time and receive a graduate research assistantship, where you're committed to 20 hours for the, say, $20,000 you're earning, and for the free tuition that you're getting while you're as an assistant, there is a limit to what an individual can do outside, because again, it's kind of when what we call in work world double dipping. You're going to school for X number of hours, you're working for the university, being paid by the state for an additional 20 hours a week. So they do not want, and they do not allow anyone to work outside of this more than 5 hours a week. That's it. So on many students who ended up deciding to come full-time with the offer for an assistantship, decided to leave their full-time job, or where they went on a part-time flex schedule where they're only working 5 hours, or a maximum and this is a waiver, to work 8 hours. So it's only the assistantship. There are students who come full-time, do not want any financial assistance from the university because they want to keep their job. The problem with that is the courses pretty much run, for instance, first semester courses, pretty much all day Tuesday. I think there might be another third one on Wednesday. We juggle some are online, but the vast majority of our courses as of today are in person. So that's where, now if you have a flex schedule and you don't want our assistantship, which is fine. I love to admit new students who do not want state funding. I will find a home for them. They will come to class during the week and they can work. Like I have one, I think I'm thinking of at Albany Med, who, does weekend shifts and doesn't receive funding, but is a full-time student in the program. How they do it with the workload, the reading load, the paper load, that I can't answer to, but as Stephanie said, there's a will, there's a way. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does in some regard, yes. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, in regards to the part-time versus full-time status, if a student starts as part-time, can they ever transition to a full-time schedule?
Absolutely. Yeah, the biggest thing with part-time, and again, we have all on assistantship, not on assistantship, full-time, part-time. Part-time, the biggest challenge I think people would say is the sequencing of the courses. So any curriculum is built on a full-time student body. So our required courses are offered, the block of fall first year, spring first year, fall, spring second year, spring second year. Those courses are offered at certain periods of time. People on the part-time program just have to be very proactive in knowing when courses are being offered, when they can take them, because some courses, say like the stats course, you have to take stats 1 before you can take stats 2. You have to take research 1 before you can take research 2. Right. Teaching pedagogy is only offered at certain times. So part-time is absolutely doable. It's just getting into what I call the rhythm so that you're not really dragging this any longer than it needs to be. I think one of my part-time students that started when I first became the director is actually at the point now where they are really shifting into full-time second year of coursework or something to, to that effect. But it's absolutely doable.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Any other?
Hi, yeah, I have a quick question. Hi, I'm Karen, and actually I'm in Korea right now. But I have a question. I'm actually SUNY Albany MSW alumni and came out to Korea to do some work out here with kids and institutionalized kids and with Korean adoptees, the deportation of Korean adoptees specifically that got deported back here. And I actually started a PhD program out here because I thought it would be a good idea to get an idea of like system out here, but I run against many challenges, especially with the language barrier and just not having this collaboration and support from other PhD scholars. So I was wondering, have you ever had any situation of like transfer, PhD students transferring, or would credits be transferable at all or anything like that?
Yes, there are. You can transfer. It's a limited number of credits that transfer. We do have a number of students from South Korea. We just had a global exchange with EY University in South Korea.
Yeah, that's my university actually.
Yeah. So
okay.
Dr. No.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would suggest, because I have one student there now, you can even talk to Dr. No about transferring in, but I want to say it's 3, maximum 6, but I think it's only 3 credits. And typically what we find is, just given the nature of our research degree, you almost want to take them all, but if you want, we could always offline send me what you have, and we can have a discussion what we could transfer in. But we have two events a year with EY University, one in November, which we just had last month, and the second one will be in May of 24.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I don't think it would be a bad idea actually to take the courses even again, because I feel like I missed a lot of the key concepts anyways, being in Korean. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Jessica. I see your hand. I can answer another question. I have a few more minutes before I have to go.
Okay, hi, my name is Jessica from Ghana. I wanted to find out if you're admitted, and probably in Ghana, sometimes it's difficult getting the visa to come to school. So if in the year your visa hasn't been accepted, is there something that is done? Are you deferred for maybe when you get the visa so that next year you can come you can start the semester, or how is it done?
That's a good question. Students have deferred a year, and we typically do, I use the word guarantee loosely because who knows what will happen in that year. But we've had students defer and then say yes, that they would like to now take us, to come. So that's absolutely possible. And I know we've had visiting faculty from Ghana, and one of our faculty members does a study abroad program. I think that he goes to Ghana. So yes, you'd be welcome. And right now, as I mentioned earlier before you joined, we have last year's class has 2 students from Nigeria.
Yeah, you did.
So I'm almost out of time. I apologize. My email's there. What I would encourage you to do is certainly consider applying to our university. Think about what your goals are. I don't want to discourage anyone. And if anything, I want to encourage you all to give it serious consideration. It really is. I was a practicing LCSW for over 20 years before I went back to school to get my PhD. There is something to be said for coming into a PhD with a lot of practice experience, because it shapes how I thought. But it without a doubt, it is the degree. If you want to be a researcher, if you want to work at a policy think tank, if you want to run an agency, whether it's a state agency, having the kind of research skills, and that's what our program is all about. Whether it's quantitative, number crunching, or much of our research and our doc students are engaged in qualitative research where they're looking at interviews, they're looking at stories, doing all kinds of work in qualitative areas. Other doc students are doing what we call mixed methods, where you bring quantitative and qualitative. But if your passion, and I do say passion, is in doing research, whether it's to improve practice or to get an academic appointment or to improve the synergy between policy and practice, then we are the school for you. Take your time with your personal statements. Many a great student was not admitted over simple errors in grammar, in not being what I would call specific about why they fit a PhD program. I would encourage each of you online to do a little bit of homework, take a look at our faculty profiles, see what areas of research we're doing. As much as I want every one of you to apply to my school, it's important that you're in a university, whether it's mine or any, where you're going to be mentored and supervised by faculty that share your interests, because it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's absolutely doable. If I could do it, I kind of set the bar. I think every one of you can do it, but it will take a lot of passion, a lot of support from family, from friends, a lot of focus, and very thick skin, because being a doc student, and Destiny's going to stay on after I get off, you're going to get a lot of feedback. And some of us aren't the most gentle, nurturing. I know I certainly must appear to be gentle and nurturing. When it comes to reading your work, we get very cranky, very critical, but we're preparing you, because a life in academia, a life writing grants, is a life of being rejected over and over and over again, but having the fortitude, the passion, and the self-confidence to do it again. You get back up, and that's what it's all about. So I hope to be reading each one of your admission packets starting on February 1st. Don't miss the deadline, because as they say, it's the little things that will hang up your application. And as they say, if you can't get your application right, then technically, I guess you really aren't going to get into a school of, if you will, a PhD program. So thank you all. Good night. Sorry for having to run. I wish you well. A happy, healthy new year. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
I'm Destiny. I'm a fourth year MSW PhD student. I am free for any questions, if anybody has any.
Destiny, I have a question about how long until you start to hear back about your application.
So usually we do the end of February, start of March.
Okay.
So yeah.
That was what I'm thinking. Thank you.
No problem. You guys are free to go if anything. I'm just here for anybody who has extra questions.
Has anyone ever had a full-time job and been able to juggle the PhD program? I don't think it's possible, but I'm asking because I don't know.
Nobody in the cohort before, current, and after me has had a full-time job, because it's an extreme amount of reading and writing and correcting and doing all over again. So yeah, not many of us have a full-time job. I work a 20-hour a week internship, and then I have like a part-time job whenever I work per diem, and that's kind of how I make my money.
Okay.
I have a follow-up question to that. So I work full-time right now. And I've already discussed this program with my employer, so we're gonna make some adjustments to dropping down my hours to part-time if I do get accepted. I'm just concerned that if they see that I work full-time on my application, like that'll, I don't know, will that bar me from consideration?
I don't think so. I'm very used to MSW applications. I can't review PhD applications because I'm a PhD student, so
Sure.
think it should bar you. I think they will ask you if you can like really handle it because again, it's a lot of work. It's not
Yeah.
thing for the heart. So if you're disciplined, I think you can and you're disciplined and you're okay with not getting a couple nights of sleep a week.
I mean,
think-
I'm to be honest, I'm used to working like 80 hours a week, and I don't do like that's what I'm used to doing. So going to school and dropping down part-time feels like matching that almost, or give or within reason, give or take. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the hardest thing for most students that I've heard of, and even myself went through it, is like having self-motivation because nobody's kind of pushing you to do it. They're like, if you go, if you come kind of on you. So you have to
Oh
like
yeah. The motivation, I'm not concerned about that, but that's a good point. But yeah, I'm not worried about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Are you a fellow?
No.
Do you have a fellowship, or are you receiving graduate assistantship, or do you have a commitment or some like how are you funding your education?
I'm doing the graduate research assistantship. So I'm working 20 hours a week with the university. Plus an extra 5 on top of that with the university. And then again, I have my per diem job where I work with the population of my interest outside of the school. So yeah. You can't work with another state agency while you work in this position, but you can work with another not-for-profit or like other agency that's outside of the state.
I think I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I think I saw a slide about like scholarships. Is that on the website?
So scholarships usually are only for those who are, when you're admitted, you get like an email to all SSW students and
Okay.
you get a specific scholarship. Scholarship change every year, the amount changes every year.
Okay, that was my next question. Thank you, thank you.
They're specific to MSW and PhD students, so you kind of like a toss up. They're not much at all.
Okay. Thank you for
$500. Yeah. Again, anybody, if you guys are free to go, but if you have any questions, I'll be here.
How long does the program take to complete?
As a full-time PhD or as a joint student?
Just a full-time PhD.
So we have up to 10 years. So after your 4th year, you have to be a candidacy by your 4th year. If not, they can drop you from the program. And if you're not finished by the 10th year, you will get dropped from the program. And if you fail, of course, dissertation or your proposal, then also drop the program.
So can you complete the program in as little as 2 years?
No.
It takes 4 years max.
Maximum 5.
Maximum 5 years.
Minimum 5 years. Minimum 5 years, maximum 10 years.
Gotcha.
Because there is 2 years of coursework and then the rest is take for essay dissertations. Yes. Sorry, Jessica, go ahead.
Yeah, Destiny, you mentioned if you don't make it to candidacy, they drop you off the program. I don't know if I got it right.
So yes, if you don't make it, so candidacy is after to go into your 4th year, you need to be a candidate. So if you're not finishing your candidacy work, it's to be qualified for candidacy, you have to finish your comprehensive essay. If you've not finished the essay, you get dropped from the program. So it's just saying, hey, listen, are you gonna do the essay or not? And if not, you don't have classes to take at that time. And you don't, so you're just kind of floating in the abyss. They don't want that. They want everybody to push, like, to get everybody through the door.
Okay.
What about part-time students? Have part-time students been able to succeed?
Yes. They take a little bit longer and it's a little bit more strenuous because they have, again, full-time job, part-time work, and they have to like get to know faculty and staff. And they don't really have that ability to, as full-time students do, to hang around the school with no other students. So
But part-time students don't get any funding, right?
No. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
no.
Destiny, I want to know how the housing is like for international students. So if you are on the assistantship program, I'm guessing it doesn't come with the school funding for your housing and all of that. You have to take care of that yourself. Right. Okay. But how much does it usually cost, like the average price for your housing? Yeah.
It can range. So I can say like some people pay $1,000 per month for housing.
Okay.
I've seen some as low as probably $700-800 for a bedroom. So some people share a bedroom, $800 per bedroom. Some people $1,000 per per apartment. Yeah, for like a 1 bedroom, 1,200 for like a 1 bedroom, stuff like that.
Does the school offer a health insurance option for students?
Yes. It only qualifies for our what do you call it? Our students, doctors. I don't know what you call them. Like our student health center. So our insurance only works within our university.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, Destiny. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm gonna hop off.
No problem.
Enjoy your
Thank you
day.
so much. You too. Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Any other questions? And it's possible to have a child in this program. Yes, no, get out the camera.
That was one of my questions, but also, for your semesters, I know you did MSW, PhD combined, so you're in your PhD portion now, I'm guessing, because you said your 4th year. So is it, I think you said like first semester, or you're taking like 3 classes? Is it three credit classes each semester if you're full-time? Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So about 3 hour, 3 credit classes.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions you guys have?
I guess maybe just some like last minute, maybe not last minute, bad phrasing, but just any other tips and tricks for the personal statement that you would add?
Have somebody look over it and get somebody to edit it before you submit it. Because
Okay.
people have been turned away for the smallest mistakes because they want to make sure that you're actually taking it seriously from the beginning. So yes, have somebody edit it, explain yourself very well and follow up with your statements. So that again, can follow through with a thought and complete a thought, to your abilities.
Destiny,
Yeah.
I cannot think of any other question now, but can I have your email just in case I have any other questions I can ask?
Of course. I'm serving as what's my email? Okay. I'm serving as the admissions and recruitment coordinator. So that's why I'm facilitating this.
Okay.
For the MSW program. Thank you. Go ahead. So please email me. I'll give you guys my phone number, but the phone number goes to the office. We're working from home right now during the winter break. So it wouldn't do anything. So
That's fine. Okay. Probably. Okay. It's very late in Ghana, so
thank you so much. Have a nice night.
Happy holidays. Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna hop off as well. I just want to say thank you so much for your transparency and for taking the time out tonight to talk to us about the program.
Of course, no problem. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good night. I appreciate it. Thanks, Ogo. Have a good night.
I guess I have one more question, but I'm not sure if you necessarily know the answer. In regards to assistantships, if you were to be full-time and without an assistantship, are you able to apply like the next year, for example? Or do you apply with your initial application?
A lot of people usually apply for the initial application because it's very
Okay.
hard to get in once you're considering a different cohort.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you so much for your help.
No problem. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
And there was one. If you have any questions, I'm free to answer. Oh, here you
Hello.
go. Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. My issue is just different. I kind of like applied the last time, then I was given a master's program, but already I have NDA in something of health service management. So I was trying to see if I can do the PhD. I joined a bit late and I didn't get a discussion. That's why I stayed and maybe to just to talk to you.
Sorry, you said I'm sorry. You're a little bit muffled. So you said a stipend for the program?
Let me come. Just excuse me. Hello, can you hear
Yeah.
me now?
Yes, a lot better.
Okay, all right. I said I applied the last time. That was about some years back, and I was given a master's program. That's the social a master's program. But I had to drop. But then I was in Ghana, so I couldn't do. But right now, what I want to do is there's a PhD program, and I joined a bit late, so I didn't get the discussion you had earlier. So that's why I stayed just to get to talk to you.
Oh, okay. So do you have an MSW right now?
I don't have. What I have is MBA, something different, health service management. In Ghana, I think I practiced for some couple of years. That's about 7 years in Ghana as health service administrator. Then later on, I was at the university as assistant registrar for 2 years. And I kind of like wants to do the PhD in this. I don't know whether it's possible.
So it is possible. You would have to get an MSW before you can get a PhD at UAlbany. So
Okay.
you have to do one before the other. You can't let you in a PhD without having an MSW or applying for the MSW program.
Okay. So before I do the PhD, I have to get the MSW.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Can I apply for like a joint program, like MSW and PhD, so that I'm sure I'm doing both?
Yes. So I'm in the joint program right now. And you can apply for both. You get your MSW first, and as soon as you graduate from your MSW, you go straight into the PhD program.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's just what I want to do. Right. I think I'm clear. Right now, I think I was in Ghana, but right now I'm in the United States. I'm sure it's going to be easy. I'm in New York right now, so it won't be that difficult. Yeah. All right. Then thank you very much for talking to me.
No problem. If you have any questions, please don't feel free to email me.
No problem. I'll do that. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right.